Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews, and here we are with another movie review catch-up for you. Let's kick things off with Captain America: Brave New World. I really didn't have any expectations going into this movie. Marvel have been on such a rocky road of late, only ever so slightly refinding their footing with Deadpool and Wolverine last year, but one decent movie in a sea of misery does not mean that they have found their form again. And I for one really struggled with the Falcon and Winter Soldier Disney TV show that they forced so hard to try and make Falcon the new Captain America. I don't think it was completely awful, but I just don't think it worked at all. Narratively it was dull, I didn't really care for the characters, and by the end of it all it just felt like we hadn't really achieved anything. I don't feel like the Falcon had earned the stripes of being Captain America. I don't really think he needs to be honest either. If you gave Thor Captain America's shield, does that make Thor Captain America, or is he just Thor with Captain America's shield? I feel like it's the latter, and it's the same problem with Sam being quote unquote Captain America. Not only is it not interesting, but I for one don't feel like he's earned it, and I don't think he needs to. He is more than enough as his own character. But no, he has to be shaved right down to fit the very boots that Steve Rogers wore, and that in itself completely butchers any storyline that we go forward with, and it absolutely shows in Brave New World. I didn't care about the characters in this movie. It is very much relying on you, on watching that Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show and actually caring about it, and also having it fresh enough in your memory that you actually bother to remember some of these details, because I didn't. And on top of that, it has all of the pasting and gusto of a snail race. Good God, it took a lifetime for this film to get going and do anything of interest. And even when it does get into something interesting, it's all just pretty damn generic and seen before. It very much feels like this is the Poundland version of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There's no oomph here, there's no high stakes or drama, it's all very much just going through the motions. And if you're here for the Red Hulk, good God, you are going to be extremely disappointed. He probably makes up for a grand total of 3 minutes of screen time here, and the reason he doesn't get any screen time is because there's far too many villains here. There's so much going on, all being juggled at once, and some of these villains just look hilariously stupid. The movie already feels outdated. As we get towards the end of the plot and we start announcing things that are going to happen now in this universe since the drama we've all just been through, and a lot of the stuff that they're mentioning are things that Sony and Fox have had the rights to. And it's just becoming mind-numbing. This merger was signed, what, 2-3 years ago now? Just get on with it and do something with it. Stop banging on about how it's coming and actually introduce it. Or at least tease it in a far more interesting and exciting way than this. It's so perfunctory, it's so company made, and it is just another dreadful step backwards for Marvel. Once again, it just further proves that Marvel have absolutely no idea what they want to do or what direction they want to go in ever since Endgame. Characters aren't working, storylines aren't interesting, it's suddenly all feeling so childish and laughable, and it isn't good enough. Don't waste your time on this. It's far from the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't even think it's the worst Marvel movie ever. I would say Thor: The Dark World is worse than this. Fundamentally fine and harmless, but what was the point? The best score that I can give Captain America: Brave New World is a 3 out of 10. Next up is The Gorge, which is available on Apple TV, starring Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, who are highly trained soldiers who are protecting a gorge from two towers on opposite sides of each other, and the two slowly form a romantic bond, until soon discovering there may be some secrets beneath them. I didn't have the highest expectations for this movie, and The Gorge still failed to meet them. The Gorge very much looked like a straight TV movie, and it absolutely was one. It just came across as one of those bad dad movies where absolutely nobody else in the family is going to enjoy it, except your old man. I think the cast are pretty decent. Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller are definitely giving it their best effort, and I think Sigourney Weaver is also having a lot of fun with the role she's been given. But you can just tell that the budget isn't there to actually portray what they want to on the screen, at least not to the best resolution or scale. It does have a bit of a tacky, cheap feeling to it all. You can tell when there are green screens and blue screens. The action is Yeah, it's okay. Again, that very limited budget is showing. It's very CGI heavy. It's very poorly lit to hide some of how bad it looks. The forced romantic elements of the story really do feel like they come out of absolutely nowhere, and it makes it feel like we're now watching a completely different film. These are the parts where your dad is going to tune out. I know I certainly did. As much as the actors are giving a pretty decent performance and trying their best, I just didn't buy the chemistry between them, and I think a lot of it is down to the pretty shoddy and lame dialogue that they're given. Plays out very generically, there's nothing to surprise you here, and there's equally absolutely nothing to remember about it either. I did laugh at how stupid the weird monsters look. They just reminded me of Bootstrap Bill from Pirates of the Caribbean. It just lacked any weight, depth, interest, point. Such a flimsy and unnecessary movie. I am at least glad that it went straight to streaming and didn't waste anybody's time in cinema. Streaming is probably where it belongs, and even then, it ain't the best choice you could make. The best score I can give The Gorge is a 2 out of 10. And last but not least, it's Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. Now, I think it's pretty fair to say that I am far from the target demographic for this movie, but I do know that my mum probably is, and one of her complaints is that I do often review mostly blokey films that she is never going to want to check out. So I made the effort to check out the new Bridget Jones movie for her and let her know how I feel about it. And I very much tried to be non-biased and just take the film as it is. But unfortunately, that still didn't work out well. I hated Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. It is such a cash grab of a movie. I mean, for goodness sakes, within the first 5 minutes, it just narratively lets you know you need to forget everything you knew about Bridget Jones because we're throwing all of that in the bin and starting again. Why? I don't know. I guess Renée Zellweger needs a paycheck. And the whole thing seems to be some sort of middle-aged woman's daydream of where she somehow pulls the hunky 25-year-old with the six-pack who can go all night. And that's the movie, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have an hour and a half of jokes about middle-aged women going through the menopause and getting Brazilian waxes and dusting off their vaginas, buying extra-ribbed condoms and buying 40 packets of condoms because somebody's getting lucky this weekend. It was all so huffy-puffy with innuendo that it became near sickening. Listening to older women be so sex-starved really was quite a toe-curling experience for me to get through. Only for the damn thing to not go anywhere and end up exactly where you thought it was going to with the 5-minute setup the movie bothered to give you. There's no joy here. It's an utter misery. I didn't laugh once, and in fact I'd even argue the movie damn borders on depressive bleakness. Some of the tonal changes in this movie are completely out of left field. We go from Laurel and Hardy comedy sketches to a bloody Thomas Hardy novel of utter misery. It doesn't have anything to say, it doesn't have anything to do, and it clearly just exists to try and milk this cash cow for all it's worth without any effort being put into it at all. The language is also quite heavy, and okay, I swear like a trooper, but again, I'm thinking about my mum here and I don't know if she's going to appreciate that, so even for the target demographic, I still think they're getting things wrong. This was nothing short of a chore for me to get through. I can give it the praise that fundamentally, yes, it's made fine enough, and I think some of the performances are okay, but that really is it. I thought this was an utter mess, and it seemed to serve as some weird sex-starved dream for older women to try and get laid with younger men, and hey, if we put that shoe on the other foot, that's suddenly quite creepy. Take this score with a pinch of salt. I am not the target demographic, but personally, I can only give Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. Have you seen any of the movies that we've discussed today, and what did you think about them? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you haven't had enough of this crazy ginger, we can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in an I'm a wormhole. But if not, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.